Hey BookTube, Chelsea the Reading Outlaw here to make a video I cannot believe that it's finally time to make, and that is my best of 2015 video. These are the best books, ebooks, graphic novels, audiobooks, what have you, that I read in 2015 in no particular order except for book number one. Book number one is most definitely book number one for a reason. Everything else can be mixed and matched, and I've just put them together in terms of format to make it easier for myself and everybody else. Most of these you've already heard me talk about on my channel, so I won't say much. Without further ado, here's the top 10. We'll start with the fiction, go to the graphic novels, end with the other way around. We'll start with the nonfiction, go to the graphic novels, end with the fiction. Sound good? All right, here we go. So the first nonfiction book that makes the list is Missoula by Jon Krakauer, Rape and the Justice System in a College Town. I listened to this on audiobook. I just got the physical copy so that I could actually show you guys what the cover looks like. This looks at rape culture and the legal system as it deals with rape through the lens of Missoula, Montana, which is a town in Montana where the University of Montana is, that was called or has the kind of moniker of the rape rape capital of America. And Jon Krakauer wanted to look at why that was and if that was true, and he came to some very, very interesting conclusions, namely that it's not true for a number of different reasons. But yes, it is a fantastic, if very, very difficult and very, very hard-hitting look at rape culture and the justice system here in America. Next up on the nonfiction list, and the only other nonfiction to make the list, is Ta-Nehisi Coates' book, Between the World and Me. This is a very, very, very difficult book to talk about, especially as somebody who is white, because this is Ta-Nehisi Coates' writing to his son about the violation of the black body and black personhood in America. 2015 was a particularly bad year for that, with everything that happened, everything from New York to Missouri, and all stops in between. I will read the back for you because I don't know any better plug than this. I've been wondering who might fill the intellectual void that plagued me after James Baldwin died. Clearly it is Ta-Nehisi Coates. The language of Between the World and Me, like Coates' journey, is visceral, eloquent, and beautifully redemptive, and its examination of the hazards and hopes of black male life is as profound as it is revelatory. This is required reading, said by the dame herself, Toni Morrison. So if that's not enough to pick it up, I'm not quite sure there's anything I could say that would. Next up, we will go to the graphic novels. I have 3 graphic novel choices. I was only going to have 2, but then I read one last minute and it kind of slipped its way in. I'm sure you can probably guess which one it was. So my 3 graphic novels, the first one is Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. Nimona is an amazing little story about a shape-shifting girl who wants to be the helper of the local town villain, and she is a shapeshifter, and she's absolutely amazing. Here's my favorite panels. It is the super villain who is Lord Blackheart, and Nimona has just gone to him petitioning to be his helper. And Lord Blackheart says, I can't have some kid following me around all day. Nimona goes, I'm not a kid, I'm a shark. Rah! And then she just kind of smiles and he's terrified. And it's absolutely hilarious. It is so adorable. I will say it does get better. Nimona was originally published as a webcomic. So the first couple of instances can feel very kind of webcomic-y. But then as it goes on, the storyline definitely gets more solid and developed. There's also a lot of really good playing with tropes here, especially between our 2 villains, Lord Blackheart and Sir Ambrosius Goldenloin. I mean, those names should kind of give you a little hint as to the overall tone of this book. But it was absolutely adorable. If you haven't picked it up, couldn't recommend it more. The other 2 are slightly smaller. They are trade volume bind-ups in a series. The first one is Porcelain, a Gothic fairy tale. I will link my review to this down below. It just went up a week or 2 ago. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is about a girl named Child and about a man called the Porcelain Maker and how they meet and intertwine their lives together. It is like Little Orphan Annie and Bluebeard had a baby and then illustrated it absolutely beautifully and added some porcelain in there. Definitely one to pick up. It is independently published, so it may be a little bit trickier to get a hold of, but still absolutely fantastic. And my favorite graphic novel of the year, which should come as no surprise to anybody who's been watching my channel for any length of time, is The Wicked and the Divine. This is the first volume, the Faust Act. There's actually also a second volume currently out called Fandemonium, and I believe they just finished up the single volumes that will comprise the trade volume number 3. I'm very, very excited for that to come out, although they've done this like rotating illustrators thing, which is apparently maybe not the greatest, but we'll get into that later, like in a different video. The Wicked and the Divine is about the fact that every 90 years, 12 gods reincarnate themselves in some form or other, then they're alive for 2 years and they die again. And in this iteration, they come back as pop stars. So in this first book, or in this first volume, we meet like a handful of the gods as they come back. We meet more as we get into later volumes and learn more about the gods. But it is so beautiful. That page is a huge spoiler. It is so beautifully illustrated, you guys. It is just everything from the color wash to the details of the stylings. It is just absolutely gorgeous. It's a very interesting storyline, but just as a pure work of art, this is one that I would suggest that you absolutely have to pick up. Again, that's The Wicked and the Divine, the Faust Act, written by Kieran Gillen, illustrated by Jamie McElvey, Matthew Wilson, and Clayton Cowles. So that is definitely one to pick up if you have not already done so. And now we get into the fiction. Yay, fiction. So we have 2 books by the same author, so we'll go ahead and go there first, and I bet you can already guess who it is. The first one is the first Mistborn book, although this was not my favorite book in the series. This is the book that starts the series, so I kind of feel like it needs to win first credit because, I don't know, I would feel a little douchey if I was like, one of my favorite books of the year is the 3rd book in a series, so good luck reading the first 2. But Mistborn, first book in the Mistborn series, I absolutely loved it. I'm not even going to get into what it's about. There are plenty of places you can go check that out if you would like. But we begin our story with Vin here, and this is one of the very first books I read after I had my baby when I was at home on maternity leave. So it kind of got me out of what had been a little bit of a slump, and I am really, really excited to have it in my possession and to have read it this year, finally. And the next book, also by Brandon Sanderson, also the first book in a series. I'm just like giving it away, aren't I? And it is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. This huge beast of a book. It is the first in the Stormlight Archives, where we meet, so far, the characters who have been our 3 main characters, Shallan, Kaladin, and Dalinar, as they kind of all jockey for power. I have to this is how heavy this book is. I have to rest my arm on the mantelpiece and on the fireplace in order to hold it up. But it is obviously a fantasy epic. Brandon Sanderson is combining elements of short story, elements of graphic design and graphic novels. He has these illustration pages throughout. It is absolutely massive, absolutely well written, and was a really fun kind of epic fantasy starting point. So if that's something you need more of in your life, this would be a good place to start for that. All right, we have 3 more, the top 3. I will go this one. I'm not going to say much about because I also just reviewed it. I will link the review down below. This is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. All the shipping, guys. All the shipping, all the love, all the LGBTQ themes. I love everything about this book. This is everything that I wanted to read back in the days when I was writing some major Harry Draco fanfiction, because I did that, and so did you probably. It's okay. Don't lie. But yes, absolutely adored it. I will link the review down below. Second to last, we have Solace by Gail Carriger. This, again, not necessarily my first book in the series, but it is the first book in the series, so it will get the recommendation nod. I absolutely love The Parasol Protectorate. The Parasol Protectorate is so hilariously written. It is this series of steampunk adventure, kind of adventure sci-fi novels that star Alexia Terabati, who is Solace. Because she is Solace, she can kind of take in an excess of soul, which in this world, those with an excess of soul become supernatural creatures. So vampires, werewolves, and ghosts, which means that the touch of a Solace can, nullify their supernatural powers. So if you're a vampire and she touches you, your fangs go away. If you're a werewolf and she touches you, you transform back into a human. If you're a ghost, you just kind of go away. You're exorcised and you're not a ghost anymore. So it is about her and her adventures with several of the higher society vampires and werewolves in London, which is where she is stationed. It is incredibly bawdy. It is incredibly raunchy and incredibly dirty, but it's written in this pseudo-Victorian style that you wouldn't necessarily, it's not just jumping off the page at you or kind of battering you over the head. It is clever. It is fun. It is great with the feminine themes, although that gets slightly more problematic as we get into some of the later books and some stuff goes on. But if you are just looking for fun and funny and absolutely adorable, lovable characters, I would definitely suggest checking out the Parasol Protectorate series, which starts with Solace by Gail Carriger. And lastly, because that's the way the world works, I don't have a physical copy of my favorite book of the year to show you. I bought it digitally, and I'm waiting until it gets published here in America, because right now, or gets, I should say, republished, because right now the American cover is butt-ass ugly, and the British cover is beautiful. So I'm keeping an eye out for it on Book Depository and / waiting. Sorry, can you tell that my bangs are starting to bug me? I'm waiting for it to either, like, a good version to come up on Book Depository or for it to get published in the United States in a cover that's not so atrocious. And it is, drumroll, sorry, the camera's now shaking, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. Ah, shockingly, oh my god, I'm so surprised. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time since I've read this book, you have heard me mention it at least once, possibly in every video I've done since then. It is a gorgeous science fiction novel about a team who does what is essentially like space road work. Like, they build exit ramps and like exit like portals and basically kind of like highways through the interstellar space travel system. And they are doing that. They get a commission to build one of these roads a long way away on a planet that is having some incredibly hostile like political tensions, which is where the incredibly shocking title of The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet comes from. But it is about so much more than that. It is about relationships between species. It is about the way we relate to each other as humans. It is about gender and love and sex and violence and making reparations and cultural understanding. And like, how can I just keep talking these words at you guys? Please just go read it already and then tell me that you read it so I don't have to keep telling you to read it. It is so good. It's so amazing. Best book of the year I read, hands down. I have not met a single person who read it and didn't just fall head over heels for it. It's absolutely fantastic. Go find it, get it now. Take a couple of days that it takes, read it, and then read it again. I've already reread it twice this year, not counting the first time, so I read it 3 times this year. That's how much I loved it. There's stuff to get out of it each time you read it. Couldn't recommend it more highly. Again, that's The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. And that, my friends, wraps up my best of 2015. Round of applause. Woo! It was a good year, you guys. It was a very, very good year. I will talk some more in an upcoming video about some of my, like, kind of not specific like TBRs, but just general reading plans for 2016, as well as doing a December wrap up for you guys. But until then, I'm going to go ahead and say adios for now. As always, let me know in the comments if you've read any of these or if you're planning on picking up any of these, and let me know what your top 10 books of the year were. All right, guys, much, much love and happy holidays.